Taliban officials say at least 100 people are dead or hurt after an explosion at a Shiite mosque in Afghanistan. Police there say a suicide bomber might have carried out the attack, which happened during a weekly prayer service. Elizabeth Palmer is following this story and joins us now from our London bureau. Liz, what are you hearing about how this played out?
It appears, as you said, that a suicide bomber entered the mosque. It's Friday, so this is the day of the main prayer ceremony, and blew himself up. There are terrible pictures of people dead and dying or badly maimed being taken out of the mosque, and then some people lying on the floor of the mosque with grieving men weeping over them. The casualties will be men and boys because at the prayer meeting, women normally don't go. It happened north of Kabul in the sort of northeastern part of the country in Afghanistan's sixth largest city, a place called Kunduz.
So in terms of who may be responsible, has any group claimed responsibility, first off? And if not, who would be most likely behind something like this?
No one has formally claimed responsibility, but suspicion falls squarely on a group called ISIS-K, or ISIS Khorasan province. It's an offshoot of the Islamic State group that you'll remember U.S. forces were battling in Syria and Iraq. It is much more violent than the Taliban. In fact, you might consider that there is a turf war going on now between the Taliban, who took over when the United States pulled out at the end of August, and this very violent splinter group of the Islamic State called Islamic K. This is not the first atrocity they've carried out. Everybody will remember the big one on August 26th when a suicide bomber blew himself up outside Kabul International Airport just as all those people were trying to get on planes to evacuate before the Taliban moved in. There was a terrible death toll. More than 150 people died there. But they also are suspected to have carried out another bombing at a mosque last Sunday and one at a school. Today's casualty figures are not going to be as high as that one in August, but already terrible numbers, 55 people at least dead and another 146 injured. So a really tragic day.
Liz, what are the implications for the Taliban and for the people of Afghanistan? This was something that we had talked about in the wake of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. What kind of violence, what kind of groups would be resurgent within Afghanistan's borders?
Well, it looks as if the Taliban is going to have to cope with continuing security threats and really violent acts from ISIS-K. As I said, a turf war. ISIS-K would like to sow religious strife between the Sunni and Shia population of Afghanistan, destabilize the country, and then move in and use the upheaval to take over territory themselves. That's a big threat to the Taliban, who are, let's face it, not in great shape. You know, they have almost no money. Their foreign exchange reserves are frozen. And they are also fairly loosely affiliated. So they're at the moment trying to consolidate their own control. Last thing they need is this kind of an assault from a very violent group. As for the people of Afghanistan, they are the victims in so many ways. This lack of money means that many of them are facing food shortages this winter. They are afraid, and they certainly don't know what the future holds. They are so war-weary. This is a country that's been at war on and off for decades, and the last thing they want is yet more years of violence. So things are looking very bleak for Afghan civilians.
Yeah, I can't help but to think, and you know, my sort of knowledge of Afghan history is limited, but it just feels like a repetition of what we saw when the Taliban were able to take over from the Mujahideen, that we are either, you know, the risk of a civil war may be there or further attacks. In terms of ISIS-K, I know that ISIS-K had been going after the Taliban before, so I presume the expectation is that more attacks will occur. But is this a group that is primarily sort of a terrorist organization, or is there a possibility that it could grow into something bigger? Is it getting support from outside of Afghanistan?
Well, originally, it was established by disaffected Taliban members. So it is a Sunni group. They were inspired by the kind of violence we saw in Iraq and Syria. And they have said straight out that they don't think that the Taliban is sufficiently strictly conservatively Islamic. So that's quite something, because the bar is already pretty high in that respect. What they want, so it starts with this religious vision, but as it grows, if it follows the pattern we saw in Iraq and Syria, it will become a militant army, organized criminal group, a group that might grow into managing certain areas of the country just as an exercise in power. Probably they haven't got a game plan for the long term. What they want now is, first of all, to make mayhem and then move in and establish control. And of course, the victims, as I said earlier, are going to be the poor Afghan civilians who have been through so much.
So true, Liz, so true. Thank you very much, Liz. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.